Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. Now, the Scottish Government is, by law, obliged to release certain statistics, and it does so on a regular basis. But the emphasis in which it puts on those statistics can be changed. It is up to them to change it. And so when the Statistics Agency releases its report and the government does not like what it says, the government is freely able to change the order, shall we say, or what the headlines are, or they can change various aspects of what the statistics show. They're not allowed to change the statistics, but they can change the way in which they're presented. And this is very, very important, because the latest set that were released has removed all mention of life expectancy. And the reason being, of course, is that in the 2 years since COVID, not during COVID now, but in the 2 years since COVID, life expectancy in Scotland has continued to fall. You'd expect it to start increasing again now that the pandemic has gone. But this is not the case. Life expectancy in Scotland is still falling. And they don't want to tell anyone about it. Of course not. Let's have a look. So, Scotland's Statistics Agency removes all mention of life expectancy falling in a news release as the SNP are blamed for drop. Well, who else can you blame? With generally health in Scotland being worse as a result of failure to provide funding for the NHS, for social care, for poverty increasing, and increased poverty, of course, is directly resultant on life expectancy, on an economy that's stagnating, if not going backwards, on all sorts of factors, all of which are directly within the power, remit and control of the SNP, and they're all failing. And the result is that people are not living as long. People are dying earlier because of the SNP. The SNP's desire to kill the elderly is working out very, very well. And this isn't during pandemic. This is today. This is now. This is today's SNP making sure the people of Scotland don't live as long because of their policies. Is this not inhuman? Is this not illegal? Is this not a crime? It's probably not, you know, but it sounds like it ought to be. Because they are making deliberate decisions that are leading to a falling death rate. And then they're hiding it. Because the one thing they don't want is the truth to come out. And that's why I always ask people to subscribe to the channel. Make sure the channel grows. Make sure the truth comes out. The SNP's policies are killing you. National Records of Scotland completely changed its headline about life expectancy figures dropping in the country amid the concerns it was too small a decrease. Oh yes, it's only a little decrease. We don't need to let people know. It's only a little. Instead of growing and expanding and going upwards as it should, it's coming down. But shh, it's only a little. We'll hide it. That's what's happened. And of course, this is all controlled by the SNP. They don't want these headlines out there. They don't want the people of Scotland knowing that their policies are shortening your lives. Scotland's Statistics Agency completely changed the headline of its news release about life expectancy to remove the fact that it has dropped over the last 2 years. In a draft news release, the National Records of Scotland headlined, "Life expectancy falls slightly. It shouldn't be falling at all." In a modern world with increasing medical technology, with increasing medications, with increasing controls over what we eat, do and how we live, and with a growing economy, people should not be in poverty, and the average lifespan should always be increasing until you get the SNP in control, in which case it falls. That tells you what the SNP are. We previously told how the SNP was criticised for presiding over another fall in how long someone lives in Scotland, with provisional figures showing it had dropped in 2020 to 2022 to 76.5 years, for men, and while for females it is 80.7 years. The latest statistics are a 3-week decrease for males and a 5.7 week decrease for women from those figures. The news release was published on the NRS website on September the 26th and was headlined with provisional life expectancy figures released. But in drafts seen by the Scottish Daily Express, statisticians revealed why the previously punchy words were taken out. They were taken out because they don't want the headline being people of Scotland are dying because of the NHS underfunding, because of the poverty and because of the lack of social care, all driven by the SNP. They didn't want to say that because, you know, it makes the SNP look bad. It may be true, but hey, let's cover up the truth. Let's hide the truth from the people. A note attached said, suggesting a different headline for a couple of reasons. One, these are provisional figures and bullshit, and we're a bit cautious about making a big statement about the direction of travel of the indicator based off this data. It said, while technically this is a fall in life expectancy, it is so small that I'm loath to give it too much weight. Oh yes, it's such a small life expectancy drop that we don't care, that people, are dying earlier. That's not important. As long as we can get independence, people can die. People dying early, of course, is the price they are willing to pay. Unbelievable. Now we're going to look at the figures here. Because another line was removed which would have been negative for the SNP, and it said this is the third consecutive annual report to notice a small fall. This was replaced with life expectancy improvements stalled in 2012 to 2014 following a long sustained period of increases. So basically up until 2014 people were living longer. Then the SNP truly came into power, just before Sturgeon in fact, isn't it? Then it started stalling and now it started falling. So there you go. All those years with no SNP, life expectancy going up. SNP, life expectancy come back down. There's the SNP for you. They're killing you. And they took that out because they didn't want it to make it look as though the SNP didn't give a shit about your life and they were doing active policies to kill people. That's the big takeaway here. It is their policies. And they know this has been going on several years. They know. And that's what they're doing. SNP, the killers of Scots. So anyway, we'll have a look at this. The life expectancy, I'm not going to go through it all. What I'll do is I'll leave it there. You can pause the video if you want to look at your particular area. But life expectancy for Scotland, the league table, and it's men and women. And without a surprise, I'm going to tell you now who's bottom. Glasgow, for men and women. But anyway, so I'll leave that there. So there's the top. It's obviously East Dunbartonshire, if you want to live. Hey, there's the great place, 80. East Renfrewshire and so on. And you come down, so that gets you down to Moray. And then I'll go from Edinburgh, well, Moray there. So you can see from Edinburgh down to South Ayrshire. I'll leave that there if you want to pause, have a look. And then South Ayrshire down to Glasgow 73. Now, of course, Glasgow 73 is just the average for the whole of Glasgow. So there'll be parts of Glasgow where it'll be slightly better. But it means that there's going to be parts of Glasgow where it's going to be slightly worse. And it wouldn't be surprising if there are parts of Glasgow where the average life expectancy for men would be somewhere in the 60s. That's hardly good, is it? And the same for females. So again, East Renfrewshire, Shetland, Dunbartonshire up at the top. Orkney again, not too bad. And that gets you down to Argyll and Bute. So we'll put them up the top. And you go to all the way down to South Lanarkshire. For women, South Lanarkshire, still in the 80s. That's the last of the 80s. And again, I'll pause and you can hold and look and then round it off to the end. And again, it's Glasgow, 78.1 for women. But that's the whole of Glasgow. There'll be areas where it might be over 80. There'll be areas where it might be 73. Who knows? But yeah, falling ages. Falling life expectancy in Scotland. And they don't care. A statement by statistician was also removed, which would have explained why there was another fall. This is because NRS did not know why exactly life expectancy had dropped. With a note reading, there are a lot of different causes of this, but the main ones are slowing, improvements to heart disease, increased drug-related deaths, and increased dementia deaths. And undoubtedly, young people popping their clogs because they're been off to the corner boys and overdoing it with the old Colombian dust. That's sold and recommended by Humza Yousaf's extended family, of course. Hamza Yousaf is one of those people who, while not directly helping, is related to one of the main problem dealers in Scotland. So very embarrassing for him that it's his family causing not just his party, of course, but his family aiding in the dropping of life expectancy in Scotland. I think it's maybe time he considers his position. And there we go. So if you truly want to know where to live, it's not Scotland, because you'll die quicker. And it's no wonder, I suppose, that they've been delaying the census. That's the last thing they want. Although they have to next year, or heads will roll. But anyway, there we go. Well done, Scotland. You keep choosing them, and they'll keep killing you. Coming up. Do you know, even when presented with this evidence, SNP supporters will still say, oh, I'll give up several years of my life, but it'll be worth it in the end. Because that's where they are. They won't even accept the fact that they're going to die for an independence cause that will never happen. And they'll still vote for them. But the rest of us don't want to die. Nobody wants to die simply because the SNP want to push an agenda. It's time they went. I shall stop now. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button. Massively helps. Please hit the like. Please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and let's get these murderers out. Bye.